12 months ago, Ormskirk and District Family History Society posted an update on our SpaceHive project, sharing people's history of West Lancashire. Perhaps you're wondering what happened. Did our volunteers give up? Did we all lose hope? Did we realise that we'd taken on more than we bargained for? Not at all. Behind the scenes, with our Lost Buildings of West Lancashire booklet completed, we continued to work on the sequel. After much thought, the theme was decided. This time it would be Landmarks of West Lancashire. It would tell the story of historical features on the ODFHS map that can still be found today, even if they aren't necessarily in their original locations. And as we considered the contents, Landmarks of West Lancashire developed a character all of its own, because this time we weren't looking at buildings necessarily. Our publications team concentrated on something a bit more nebulous. Landmarks of West Lancashire became more than a simple local history book. It led our intrepid team of researchers back to a time when 17th century Catholics and Quakers, prohibited from building their own churches and chapels, found places to worship without attracting unwelcome attention from those who could prosecute them. We looked at the wayside crosses, offering funeral processions of medieval times a welcome moment of rest as they carried a coffin from an outlying village all the way to Ormskirk Parish Church. We considered the days when Derby Street was the place to be if you wanted to call yourself a professional in Ormskirk in the 19th century. 13 topics, all the way from light railways to the Parbold bottle, were researched, described, revised, blended with an array of photographs and illustrations, both historic and modern, until finally they became this booklet. And being a family history society, the most important way that we could bring our local past back to life was to connect these landmarks with the people who shaped them, because people are an important part of what we're interested in. So within these pages you'll find such famous names as the architect Sir Giles Gilbert Scott. You'll find a 17th century Countess of Derby. But you'll also find more ordinary people, brickmaker Henry Alty and schoolteacher Frederick Chittleborough. They're all in there. And as the draft was polished into the proof copy, several pairs of eyes set to work. We're looking for typing mistakes, any kind of punctuation errors, because we all make them. It's very easily done when you're working on something that you're particularly focused on. In a few instances we got opinions from other society members, just to be sure that the contents were as historically accurate as we could possibly get them. And all this was done before we even thought about placing our orders with the printers. On the 13th of January 2025, members of ODFHS gathered at Ormskirk Library for the launch of our second and final Sharing People's History booklet. This time was this one, Family History and the Landmarks of West Lancashire. Some contributors gave talks on the sections that they had researched and written. These included the Clock Tower in Ormskirk and St Michael's Church in Orton. Fascinating details about the significance of different landmarks to the towns and villages where they're located were blended with personal memories that our various members and committee members had to do with those places. And to really bring things to life, our librarian even created a series of displays themed around all the lost buildings and landmarks that we'd mentioned in each publication. By this time, 380 copies of Lost Buildings of West Lancashire had been given away via libraries in West Lancashire, and the digital version of that same booklet had been downloaded 879 times, but that was 4 months ago. What's been going on since? We certainly haven't stood still. A key element of our SpaceHive project was that the booklets that we produced should be made freely available. By early April 2025, 440 printed copies of Landmarks of West Lancashire had been given away via libraries. So that's 440 copies of this very booklet here. To our great delight, because we'd also created a digital version that could be downloaded, by the final week of May 2025, 301 digital downloads had been acquired from our website free of charge, in addition to an absolutely staggering 1,035 downloads of the Lost Buildings booklet. Every single one of them free of charge. If you haven't yet been able to get hold of a downloadable version, do please have a look at the link in the description box below this video. We're going to include full details of how and where to get one if you so desire. Our publications team really have worked wonders on the SpaceHive enterprise. It simply would not have been possible for one volunteer to achieve this all on their own. There was so much research went into it, so many hours, so much editing, getting second opinions, all the work that goes into writing a book essentially. And by a very convenient coincidence, the January launch came just a few weeks before ODFHS celebrated our 45th anniversary on the 27th of February 2025. To tie everything up in this very special year, we decided that we would incorporate elements of the SpaceHive presentations into the talk that comes after our AGM at our May meeting. So on the 28th of May, with the AGM over and done with, we combined a celebration of our anniversary year with all sorts of displays charting our history, with a repeat of 3 of our SpaceHive presentations. One of these was on Ormskirk's clock tower, another one was on the fascinating history of St Michael's Church in Orton, and another was on the Mass House, which predated St Anne's Catholic Church in Ormskirk. And I know that everybody who has been involved in it has found it absolutely fascinating to research. It was an absolutely perfect way to round off the project.